This thing popped up on Reverb one night and I was like, oh my goodness, another member of the Widow family? You know, we're talking about those cool Les Paul customs that have the colored binding that's matching on the headstock and the body. And if you're not familiar with the Widow series, don't worry, I'll catch you up here in a second. But let's go ahead and get this one open and learn about what makes this particular one special and how it relates to the family. Inside here is what is known as the Gibson Les Paul Stealth. That's right. It's a part of the Widow series. It's like a purple Widow, except for it's a very dark finish in the center. You have factory stock EMG active pickups, but you're also going to see things like no fret inlays, purpled headstock. What exactly is going on here? In 2009, Sam Ash came out with a dealer-exclusive model known as the Black Widow. It had this really cool sprayed-over red paint job that also included covering over the binding. That was the birth of the Widowed series, and is the reason why we call sprayed-over guitars like that Widows. But the backside of the headstock had a cool little Spidey dude, and then in 2010 they followed that up with something called the Cobra Burst, the original one, that also had a little decal. But then in 2012, Gibson decided to do more colors of these, ranging from orange to green to blue. There were 5 colors in total for that particular year, and they utilized rosewood fretboards. Now the whole Widowed series ended up being popular enough that they continued to produce them, and recently, in 2024, they've been really picking up steam with tons of people custom ordering these things. So imagine my surprise when I see this thing on Reverb. It's like, what is it? The serial number dates it to 2010. Now this is technically after the Purple Widow prototype, so this is kind of a transitional model in that particular aspect. But look what's on the back of the headstock on top of this. They call this thing Stealth, and it has a unique little decal back here. Kind of looks like a stealth plane or something. So I really like this model now because it's kind of like a brother model to the Black Widow or the Cobra Burst. It's not necessarily animal influenced, but any guitar that has a cool little decal on the back that's different from your regular Gibson Custom Shop logo is cool in my book. Now, how many of these things did they make? There's not really good information online about this, because I thought maybe it was another Sam Ash exclusive or maybe a different dealer. Most of these things ended up overseas. Sometimes that's how Henry J just swept things under the rug. If they don't sell well in the US, he ships them overseas and then they sell. But it seems most people say there's around 25 of these things out there. The Stealth title is official. It's on the COA booklet. And as a final little bit of trivia, there's actually kind of a sister model. It's called the Les Paul Custom Phantom. It also had 25 made, but this time it was all blacked out. So we're talking the black binding on the neck and the body, and of course also on the headstock. No, actually they left the headstock alone on those. While that might look strange at first, I mean, look at Phantom of the Megaplex over here. White mask, everything else is blacked out. It makes total sense when you know what this thing's called. Kind of a strange one. I almost bought one out of Japan about 4 years ago because I thought it was like the closest thing that we'll ever get to an inverse bucket head. So be sure to let me know if you know of any other similar guitars to these that may exist. So to learn more about this unique model, let's go ahead and throw it on the workbench to take a look at its parts and specs. So unfortunately, I've got some bad news. These are not the original pickups in this guitar. I know what you're thinking. Ha! I knew there couldn't have been a stock EMG Gibson guitar. No, those really do exist, and this is one of them. It's just somebody swapped this out for the X series. So it's still the EMG 81 and 85 set. It's just the X series of each of them. Now, what does that mean? According to EMG's website, they added dynamic control over these with a new preamp. So is it a big deal? Not really. But so far the specs seem to follow the early Widows. You have a short neck tenon in here. Here's what our bridge pickup cavity looks like. Everything's done up on this quick connect system. We still have a maple top with a mahogany body. It's a regular Nashville style bridge with a full weight tailpiece. We've got black speed knobs, as 2 volumes and 2 tone controls. And these guys are stock without any pick guards on them, so you don't have to worry about any holes or anything like that. But this finish is kind of interesting. It's definitely a very, very deep, dark purple. I saw some forum posts thinking that this was actually like an oxblood finish, and then there's just the purple binding. Nah, it's just all a very deep, dark purple. Maybe the outside B-roll shots will show it off a little bit better. That's one downside to polishing these guitars. They just get way too reflective. And I've got polarizers, it just doesn't really seem to help that much. But this one was definitely played. It's got some pretty heavy scratches in some areas. But what's really cool is you see these lines right here? At first I thought it was like finish checking or something. No, that's the maple wood grain underneath this finish. I especially like seeing it in this area because it's the ringed wood grain style. So imagine if this would have been a flame maple top. You actually would have started to see some of the flame. But what's happening is this finish has really sunk into the pores of the wood. So you can see the two-piece center seam line very clearly and all the rest of the wood grain as well as the scratches. I mean, this thing was definitely played. Just because I polished it up doesn't mean it's mint condition collectible anymore. So I definitely want one of these in my collection. I'm just not sure if this is the right one. So if anybody has a cleaner one that they want to sell, let me know. But if there's only 25 of these, maybe I should hold on to it till I have something good to replace it with. So it's supposed to be an ebony fretboard. It is very wood grainy. I really thought this was just a dark piece of rosewood, but now that it's been conditioned, it definitely plays the part of ebony. This is really rather unfortunate for this guitar because there's no fret markers, so you're like, okay, where am I supposed to go? All right, I'll use the side dots. Side dots are covered over in a dark purple. It's kind of hard to see. Like right now my camera is overcompensating the exposure, but on a dark stage, yeah, probably not stealthy in a good way. That's the other thing people like to comment about on these things is Les Paul Stealth. You chose purple? Well, it's a dark purple, and yeah, they could have blacked out the hardware to complete the look even more, but this kind of matches the frets or something like that. This might not have been the most well thought out limited edition, but it's pretty cool. It's got 22 medium jumbo style frets. But I really like the fact that they chose cream binding on this, because then when they spray it over in purple, you kind of get almost a double bound effect going on. The nut measure is 1.7 inches. The 12th fret is 2.08. We got a first fret neck depth of 0.85 and 0.94 by the 12. Here's that neck profile at the 1st and 12th fret. It's just your standard medium C-shaped neck profile that most customs have. Moving on to our headstock. You just got your beautiful purple Gibson logo here, and our truss rod's looking okay on this example. I'm kind of surprised it has a Les Paul custom truss rod cover. I just would have put a blank one on here. The chrome look looks pretty nice with the dark purple finish in my opinion. But again, to clarify, this is not purple mother of pearl. It's just a purple finish put over top of the regular stuff. The same thing is true for the binding. In fact, there's an area over here by the cutaway where the binding has kind of been rubbed through so you can actually still see the white. Now we move on to the back. If anybody has a EMG 8185 set from like late 2009, 2010, let me know, because it would be nice to restore this guitar. But it is indeed active, and you just have a battery back here. You just need like green back plates on here, and then you get like Joker vibes. The fact that this actually has back body binding is really special at the time that this was introduced, because even that prototype that slightly predates this one didn't quite have full-on Les Paul custom specs yet. So maybe that's where the Stealth fits in here. Probably the worst thing condition-wise on this is there's a pretty nasty gouge in the finish right here. Now what caused that? A stand. One of those crappy A-frame stands definitely burnt the finish here. And this is always pretty common on the Widows. As they age, sometimes you'll see like the lacquer shrinking lines around there, and it just kind of looks ugly, but you have to live with it. Currently, we have black Schallers. I'm guessing these strap locks are aftermarket, because all the other hardware on this thing is chrome. The back of the neck is also a very dark purple, but I mean, it's even darker. I've come to really appreciate this. It's called Stealth, but it's also slightly fuzzy. Fuzzy as in out of focus. So it kind of matches the whole theme that they were going for here. And even the finish on the neck has really sank into the wood grain. You can definitely see a whole lot of that. But we've got just regular Grover tuners here, and our serial number dating it to 2010. The 1153rd guitar produced that particular year. Do a quick blacklight test here, just to see if there's any touch-ups or anything. Everything is looking okay here on the front. I'm kind of surprised this area doesn't glow significantly different, so that tells me it's just natural rubbing against something that kind of ate away the finish there. The headstock's also looking good. This right here definitely proves that was a stand that discolored and indented that area, but the rest of everything else is looking good on this one. All said and done, it's just a little over 9.5 pounds. 9 pounds, 9.1 ounces. Let's go ahead, plug it in, and get some tones. do some Metallica or really chuggy stuff, as always, EMG pickups will do that. Now that we know all about the Les Paul Custom Stealth, what are my final thoughts on this thing? Is it my favorite Les Paul Custom I've ever had? No, but I had a great time playing this. So it's just kind of a blending of the Widow series mixed with the Animal series in a unique way. Now, would I suggest this to a gigging musician? Honestly, probably not. These dot inlays on the side of the neck are very hard to see. You'd probably have to get some glow-in-the-dark paint or maybe even some white nail polish to mark them a little bit better if you're going to be playing on a dark stage. However, it's got a pretty cool menacing effect to it. So I think now I really want to find one of those Les Paul Custom Phantoms. I hope you enjoyed learning about this rare, obscure model today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode with active pickups, how about you check out the Rammstein Les Paul? That's another heavy-hitting beast.